What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You dead meat! Go ahead and laugh, you guys. Find the fine little bastards that did this. They're dead meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast, your horror safe haven. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm James. We're married and we like to get scared together.
Yeah. Real quick, right off the top. Hey, do you want to see us live? Yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, it is.
April 14th at the Detroit Masonic Temple, we will be reviewing The Crow live.
In our home state of Michigan, in our near our hometowns in Detroit at the Masonic Temple. And this is after the weekend of Astronomicon, which will be in Livonia. We're going to leave Astronomicon and go straight to the Masonic Temple in Detroit to do a live podcast show, the first ever live podcast we've ever done.
Yeah, we've done live shows, but they haven't been recorded and intended to go on the feed.
Yeah.
This will.
That is the intention for this live recording.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Still figuring that out.
If it all sounds okay. I know live shows are dodgy sometimes.
If you don't want to take the chance of missing that, then buy a ticket.
Yes.
And come see us live.
I'll put a link in the description.
Yeah, make us look good. Buy those tickets.
Yeah, please buy our tickets. Great. We're doing a March Madness again.
Yeah, it's been years.
It has been years, because I remember the last time we did a March Madness, we were sitting over on that wall. It was before we got the new set.
It was a two-parter.
Yeah.
We did the first March Madness was in 2019, and the second March Madness was in 2021.
Wow.
So shortly after moving into the house, and was a two-parter, each one over an hour long.
Oh my God. Yes. So those were like, we're just pitting horror characters against each other, right? We're making them fight. For some reason, the Mary Shaw, the lady from Dead Silence, just cleaned house.
In the first one, right?
I think in the first one, the Blob. I remember the Blob being an extremely difficult competitor because there's just nothing you can do.
Okay, so maybe the Blob won the first one and
I think so.
Mary Shaw won the second?
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't go back and re-listen to them just because it wasn't relevant for what this is going to be.
That's right, this is its own thing.
I had to rewatch a bunch of movies to prep for this one, but it's going to be so worth it because this year we're not just making people fight each other, okay? This is a competition for the worst horror movie husband/fiance/boyfriend. I'm going to have to come up with a catchier title for the episode.
I feel like worst horror husband is the best. Like,
yeah.
It's alliterated. It's fine.
Yeah. So, two things I just want to say before we get started. One, this is a bracket of dudes. I purposely excluded horror husbands that get murdery. So Jack Torrance, not on here. Same with the husband from Rosemary's Baby is not on here. Guy, right? Because when I started putting this together, I realized as soon as someone starts trying to murder their whole family with an axe, it kind of makes them the worst one by default.
Kind of hard to argue against that.
Letting the devil rape your wife so you can get ahead in showbiz.
Can't top that.
They're too. So I decided to set stricter parameters for these guys. So this is less worst horror husbands of all time, and it's more like, which of these dudes makes me feel the most like, oh brother, this fucking guy. It's just a bunch of weenies.
What's your other thing that you were going to say?
Oh, my second thing I was going to say is, because of the parameters I've set, I realized that this is basically a tournament of emotional abuse.
Oh, okay.
So if that...
I thought you were going to say that this is a race to the bottom.
Well, that too.
Is, yeah.
But it's... So if that maybe is gonna bug you, or that doesn't sound like fun because these guys suck in very realistic ways as well.
Yeah.
If that's not gonna be fun for you, I'd maybe skip this episode.
I'll throw in a little caveat too, just so that people aren't like, wow, sexist people doing a podcast about the worst guys in horror. Well, yeah, it's because traditionally a lot of horror centers around someone not being believed, and also a lot of horror features female main characters. So when you combine those two facts, you have a female main character who believes in something and is not being believed by the people around them. You necessarily wind up with a lot of husbands and boyfriends who are just like not listening to them or are made to be like douchebag characters in order for the drama of a film and story to happen. That's what happens when you have a genre where most of your main characters happen to be female for various reasons that we've discussed in previous podcasts.
Yes. If you want, you can listen to our episode all about Final Girls from a very long time ago, but it'll get kind of into this.
Yeah, because I don't we could maybe do a bracket of, but like, think about the worst girlfriends and wives. There's like Rose from Get Out.
Right.
There's a few that we could come up with, but it's certainly not the trope. You know, this isn't us being like, guys fucking suck. Let's do
no, it's just, this is a trope.
This is a trope.
This would be akin to doing a Final Girl bracket. Final Girl's a trope. Or like worst best friend, like biggest stoners in horror, which would be a fun bracket to do. They wouldn't want to fight each other.
Ooh, worst best friend would get a lot of female characters.
Yes.
Yeah, including one from another movie.
I'm thinking of someone specific on this bracket, absolutely.
That could be a good one. Yeah, like worst besties.
Yeah, worst besties. And it could be all genders. We're all equal when it comes to being a shitty best friend. But no, so yes, good point, because I'm sure someone will be mad.
Sure someone would, man. You can't fucking do anything these days.
Listen, I say this with love. I love and hate all of these characters because they serve their purpose. Like, they're there for a reason, and it's to make me pissed off. And now, for that, I commend them.
I have a vague idea, a pretty good idea, of these 16 participants. I don't know how you've seeded them, though.
I tried my best to make it, to do it real professional, like they do in March Madness, where you don't have, like, two of the big boys right away.
Yeah.
You know, you want to see them both go kind of far.
Yeah.
So I did my best. Let's get into it, because I don't know how long this is going to take.
Hopefully not the 2 hours that last year.
We'll see. I also made both of us note sheets documenting all of the sins of the various contestants. This is several pages long. I want to see if I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages single-spaced notes of all of the transgressions of our various contestants.
You want some
today.
research? Here you go.
Yeah. It's turned into a research episode quickly.
We are working on a real one, though.
Yeah, we are.
Got that message from Bella today. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, what's happening?
Bella's our researcher. Okay, let's get started. First pairing of dudes. We've got Crispin Davidson from You're Next.
What seed is he?
Okay, so I didn't properly seed it.
Oh, okay. I thought that you ranked them in that, because it's supposed to be like 1 versus 16.
I kind of did, but I also arranged these so that there's drama in the order that we get to them in.
Okay.
Trust me.
We could call it the...
Trust me, I worked so hard on this.
You bad seeded them.
I did, yes. You gotta believe in me, hon. I worked
I
really
will
hard.
Believe in you.
We've got Crispin Davidson from You're Next and Clay Dalton from Drag Me to Hell.
Okay.
So I asked for suggestions on Twitter for these contestants. A lot of people said Clay Dalton, and in rewatching Drag Me to Hell, yeah, he's kind of annoying, but I don't think he's a bad...
I remember feeling bad for him in the end.
Yeah.
How he also gets dragged to hell at the very end. Or he sees
he just
her
watches her. Yeah.
It's very traumatizing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
that's Justin Long's character.
Yeah. And he kind of is the one. It's ambiguous because there's a mix up with these envelopes with the cursed object, the button in it. Mm-hmm. And he ends up having it. So it's not really his fault, though.
I see that you wrote, he defends the bank for denying Sylvia Ganush a third extension on her mortgage.
He does. He's definitely a white collar boy, and that is a big plot point, is that he comes from a rich family, and his girlfriend, what's the main character's name?
Christine.
Christine overhears him on the phone with his mom. And his mom's like, oh, you're still dating that girl from the farm.
Does he defend her?
Yes.
He defends his farm girl?
He does,
okay.
yes. But
okay.
you can see the effects of him having grown up, like where he's like, look, you don't pay your mortgage, you get a just the lack of sympathy is a little off-putting.
I will say I've always watched that movie and I've always been like, I don't think Christine maybe should have gotten cursed for that, but that's kind of the whole point of the movie. Yeah.
Because the thing is it's not only does she deny her this loan, she does it because she has ulterior motives, because she is neck and neck for a promotion. She's competing with this other guy, and her boss is like, well, you got, big moves, right? And that's, so it is a selfish reason for denying this loan. So I think that's part of it as well.
Okay. I do remember the scene with the fortune teller where he's very dismissive of it. He
is, yeah.
Faces in the background.
He does the classic, like, oh, my name's Clay, but you probably knew that already.
Okay, bad joke, not great.
Yeah. He definitely actually is the fortune teller quite a bit. And he's mocking him the whole time, like he's gesturing in the back. You can kind of see him in the background out of focus, just being a dick the whole time.
I don't believe in any of that stuff, but I wouldn't be doing that.
I think you would be polite.
I would be very polite.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been in situations.
We went to a very bizarre seance. It was like an event we went to, and yes, you were very polite the whole time.
Oh, man.
For a very weird experience.
Yeah. Yes, I was. I was very polite for that fortune teller.
I don't know. I just think compared to Crispin from You're Next.
Let's talk about Crispin.
We'll talk about him, but I mean, unless there is a very substantial revelation here, I don't think. Well, we'll see.
Sure. Crispin, played by A.J. Bowen in You're Next. He's the main character, Erin's boyfriend, and drags her to this awful family get-together.
Oh my gosh, family get-together from hell.
Yeah.
Like, talk about drag me to hell. Drag me to this fucking family dinner.
Nice, hon.
With this family that is just all kinds of terrible rich people.
I love the older brother. It was just like classic older brother douchebag.
And Ty West is there.
Ty West is very briefly there as the boyfriend of the sister.
Yeah. Barbara Crampton's the mom, which is fun.
Her comeback role.
That's right.
She always cites that as the movie that brought her back into the fold, and yeah. Fantastic.
I do love the little detail when they're on the way there. They're talking about the family, and she hasn't met them before. Sharni hasn't met them yet.
Yeah, Sharni Vincent.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, they're pretty loaded. They get their money from weapons manufacturing, but they work in marketing. He's very quick to point out, like, they just work in marketing, which is still like an insane thing to say.
Okay.
And to be like, oh, that makes it better.
He leaves for most of the movie.
He does. He leaves to get help.
Yes, because when the shit starts happening, he's like, I'll go get help, and he's just gone until the very end. During that time, Erin finds out that his younger brother...
Oh, should we explain really quick what's going on the whole time?
They're like, it's a family getting home invasion. I mean, I feel like everyone who watched... Like, that was an early kill count that I feel like everyone watched.
Yeah.
And you should watch the movie. It fucking rules.
It's very good, yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a family in an isolated house getting invaded
picked off
and
by,
picked off.
Yeah.
Masked intruders. And she finds out because she happened to be...
she was raised as like a doomsday prepper kind of. Yeah. And he's like, this all would have gone a certain way if you weren't randomly so good at killing people.
Because she finds out that his younger brother had organized it along with his girlfriend, and eventually she kills all the killers and the brother, only for Crispin to get back, and she realizes that he also organized.
Yeah, because the brother's phone starts ringing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and she picks it up and is listening to him be like, yo, is it done yet?
Yeah, because he's like, I'm a pacifist. I can't deal with the violence.
Yeah, I can't deal with the violence
So
stuff.
not only is he plotting for his whole family to get murdered so that he can take their money. He can't even do it himself. Yeah.
He can't even, he doesn't even have the balls to do it himself. And even though he claims she was not, like, she was always going to remain unhurt, which I do think is true on his. I think that is what he intended the whole time, and just assumed like she would be left alive, and she and him. I mean, he even says like, we can, if you, he literally says, if you weren't so good at killing people, we could be on vacation or engaged right now. So That's still trauma forever and ever and ever.
And also, I feel like she was attacked multiple times throughout the night.
Yeah.
So
And
I don't know how much. That's a very unreliable narrator thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how truthful that is, that she was always going to be a chosen survivor. In any case,
Then she kills the guy with a blender.
sticks a blender in his head. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, I think the...
Oh, and also, too, his other reason for leaving her alive was so she could be a witness. Mm-hmm. So she could lie on their behalf as someone who was actually there. She could be like, no, seriously, a bunch of random people came and killed everyone.
Yeah.
So there's that, too.
People always asked, because this was before I explained movies better, why the opening kills were done if this was a plot to have them inherit the,
with
the money.
Larry Fessenden, right?
Yeah, who was a neighbor. Him and his like young lover get murdered. That was part of selling it as random murders.
Oh,
it would be like,
see.
oh, this wasn't targeted for this family, which would be suspicious with these people inheriting the money.
Those poor people.
Yeah, they were just collateral to make it look more believable as like random murderers.
Yeah, just wants to get laid and listen to cool music.
That fucking needle drop, it plays so much in that movie, and I love it.
Yeah.
That song is so cool.
All right.
Yeah, I think Crispin's the worst boyfriend.
It's gotta be Crispin. Let me write him down.
Sure.
Okay, next up, we have Trevor from Smile.
Okay.
And Dan Connor from the film Fall, which no one suggested, but I remembered him while I was putting this together, and it made me angry, and I had to put him in here. I'm sorry, Mason. Played by Mason Gooding.
Great.
Very well in that movie, but I fucking hate him so much.
This is an interesting matchup. So this would not have happened had you done a traditional seating. So I see what you're doing. Because, like, this is...
Because here's the thing is, these two up against a lot of other people, they might both be out right away.
Yeah.
But I think this is an interesting couple to look at because I don't have an obvious winner in my head like I do with... Oh.
Yeah. I have felt strongly about this since I've covered this film on the Kill Count. But first, let's talk about Mason.
Okay.
In Fall, which I just watched for this episode.
Which I'm such a sucker for single location survival shit. I don't care how old it is. I don't care if it uses the same twist ending every single time.
Yeah, right. This uses the twist.
I like it. I watched this on an airplane like a fucking psychopath.
This is the movie where two women who are climbers climb up this, I forget how tall it is.
It's a corroded radio tower, so it
like
is hundreds of feet tall.
Yeah,
Gressel is like
and then like the ladder
white.
breaks below them and they're stuck up there.
On this rusty tower.
I remember seeing this trailer,
Yeah.
and I think a VFX company that came across me in the day job, like I saw on their reel or something, and I wanted to die.
Yes,
I think we
yeah.
nominated this for effects last year's Horror Awards.
I don't think we did.
Really? Because I remember...
I think it was on the short list, but
because I do remember watching behind the scenes stuff of they built like the top portion of the tower, so that was all physical, and it's this like fake kind of... It's cool.
Yeah, awesome movie. If you like stuff like 47 Meters Down, stuff like that, then you'll probably enjoy
like this.
It's good stuff.
Also, her friend, the main character's friend she goes climbing with, is on the terrible best friends bracket because of stuff that happens with Dan.
Yes, spoilers for Fall, since we haven't discussed it previously on the channel.
Sorry.
So even if you're a diehard Dead Meat fan, you might be like, what the fuck?
Dan is married to our main character, and the opening of the film is the three of them. It's the main character, her husband Dan, and the main character's best friend,
played by Virginia Gardner from Halloween 2018.
That's right.
Vicky the babysitter, who was excellent.
What is my number one best babysitter? Yeah. So they go rock climbing. I think Dan does something stupid and he falls and dies. So he's dead like right away.
Right in the opening
he
scene.
only appears in flashbacks throughout the movie. And obviously the main character's heartbroken. Her friend's like, look, we got to do one last big climb.
Like a year later
to
on
honor
his
him. It's the anniversary. We're going to honor his memory. He would want you to go do this. I'm going to film it all for my stupid YouTube channel.
Danger D.
It'll be great. Now, important detail. The main character has a tattoo that is the numbers 1, 4, and 3.
Does she have the tattoo, or I know?
You know what?
She
I
has
don't
the
think
flashback of that's how he
That's
tells.
right. Okay, so she doesn't have the tattoo,
Yeah.
but we see in a flashback that is their little cute code for saying "I love you" because
Like,
it's
1,
the 1,
4, 3. I love you.
I love you, right?
Yeah. Well, while they're stuck up there, she notices her best friend has a tattoo of 143 and is like, yo, what the fuck?
Yep.
And
so now they're just stuck up there, and it's fucking despicable. It's so. I think just the situation.
It was a 4-month affair.
Yeah, that's long.
It wasn't like a one-night stand.
No, that was a long time.
Yeah, and clearly her best friend like fell in love with her husband enough to get a tattoo after he died.
That's the thing, is
commemorating
it's an
him.
emotional affair too.
Yes, yeah, that's worse than like a quick little like.
And just the fact that she's like, we have to go climb to honor your husband's dude. If you want to get so mad for like an hour and a half, this is a great movie.
Conversely, we have from Smile, Trevor, played by Jesse T. Usher, aka A-Train from The Boys. Oh, okay. Yes, and so he is the main character's fiance, and he is trying his best. He falters for sure. Eventually, he ends up calling her psychiatrist, and they kind of ambush her.
They do.
At
They
the
do
house.
a
She comes home.
intervention style. Like he
Yeah.
calls her unhinged, which isn't nice to say about someone.
He ends up being unable to handle what appears to be her psychotic break or mental unraveling.
Yeah.
And
Which includes she possibly murdered their cat.
she did.
But she
While
did.
possessed.
But she's saying, I didn't do it. And
Yes.
he's like, I don't know. I think she might have.
And he during their big argument, she says something like, I'm sorry that I can't give you the easy life that you really want. And I've said this in the kill count. I said this on the podcast. I wish that the movie had shown more of him looking for the easy way out, because then it would have set that up a little bit more. But I don't see that in the movie. In fact, I see him going to dinner with her shitty
I have that on here.
and
he goes to
brother-in-law.
bat for her because you can tell. I think we pointed this out in the episode we did on Smile, that these are the kind of people that I immediately distrust, and it's because of the vest.
The tech vest, yeah.
It's the tech vest. It's the like over-involved kind of PTA mom feeling in a bad way. I don't like these people, and they clearly think that she can, or our main character can do better than her current job, which doesn't pay that well.
Yeah. But it helps.
And because she's like, I think they even say something like, can't you find crazies that'll actually pay you good money or something like that? And her husband goes to bat for her, and he's like, look, she loves doing this. She loves helping people, and that's why I love her.
Mm-hmm.
So
he also, at one of her freakouts, she like has a knife,
Yes.
and he runs out to help her, and then there she is waving a knife around. He's like, he's in his underwear.
he's
like,
doing
oh,
the Wendy, from The Shining, just lots of.
So I'm going to defend Trevor. I think that he was in he eventually buckled under the stress and said some harmful things, said like, are you going to be crazy like your mom? Stuff like that.
Right.
The therapist ambushing, maybe not the best idea, even though it seems like he's trying to get her help.
It feels like he's a flawed human dealing with what is an impossible situation, because if this were real life, sure, he's being kind of, a little insensitive, maybe a little impatient. But this is a horror movie where it's all like real. Mm-hmm. So obvious. So I think we think he's a lot worse than he would be.
Yeah, he was suggested a lot on Twitter.
He
right?
was,
yeah,
yes.
I saw that.
But I think because I was looking at him after watching a bunch of these other dudes, I was like, he doesn't have the makings of a great douchebag in him.
Yeah.
He's not going to be our number one douche nozzle, I think.
No, not at all.
I think Dan, just for the fact that he had an intense enough emotional affair for this other woman to get a tattoo of his stupid line that he uses on every girl he meets.
Apparently, yeah, right?
It wasn't even special to his wife. He just uses on every chick he fucks. God damn, Dan. All right. Dan.
Mason, what have you done?
Mason, I know you're listening to this, and You have things to answer for.
Put him in the
next
thumbnail
time
so he definitely
we see
listens.
you.
Him falling in the opening scene, just like, ah, against that green screen.
Okay, next up, we've got, oh boy, this is I love this pairing so much. And I would love to watch these two. I feel like in a debate would be awesome to watch.
Okay.
We've got Trent from Friday the 13th,
Okay.
2009. And Peter from Black Christmas, the original.
Oh, okay.
Peter he's gonna be tough, I think, I think he is very legendary in terms of bad movie boyfriends. He's one of the first ones I think of when I think of bad boyfriends, like just very realistic, terrible men. Is this guy? This is gonna be also, I think, controversial because of why people consider him douchey, a hot button topic still all these years later.
Yes, 50 years later.
50 years later, still I think people feel the way he does, and I'm sure there are people who will defend him. We'll get more into the details in a bit if you have not seen Black Christmas, which you should.
You should watch Black
It
Christmas.
fucking
The
rules.
original.
The original.
Not the shitty remake or the shittier remake.
The original, I think the ending of that movie is one of the scariest endings. It freaks me out.
yeah.
It gives me chills to think about. I'm getting like goosebumps right now. I love it.
And then you said Trent
Yep.
from the Friday the 13th
Yep.
remake.
A walking pair of boat shoes, Trent. God, Trent.
This guy, he's playing this role so well.
He's so good. Travis Van Winkle.
Yes.
He's so goddamn good in this.
Oh, wait, what's that reaction, Gressel? What do you know him from?
Fubar on Netflix.
Okay. Well, apparently he also
What is
played...
he like in that?
He's like a cocksure CIA agent.
Okay, that's
But then he ends up having kind of like a heart of gold. He's
he's
fun.
like he's a golden retriever a little bit.
a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
He's an asshole in Friday the 13th and also plays apparently possibly the same character in Michael Bay's Transformers because it is
Same character.
named Trent and same characteristics.
What?
Yeah, they might share a universe.
If we ever get a chance to interview him, we have to ask.
Because Friday the 13th was produced by Michael Bay's.
That's right.
Company.
That Platinum Dunes,
Yes.
right? I
Trent.
love the idea of that. So it's like Stephen King shit. You know?
For real. Yeah, so Trent is the main character, Jenna's boyfriend, except maybe she's not the main character because she's like a faux final girl.
I was gonna say, I think you're thinking of Final Girl Jared Padalecki. I mean, no, the
no,
sister. The
his
sister, yeah, I know.
Even though she's not in the movie for most
No,
of it.
she's not.
It's
she's
a weird structure.
She's in a cage in the ground for most of the movie.
But it's also one of the best Friday the 13th.
I like it. I forget if we ever ended up ranking all the Friday the 13th.
Not the films, I don't think. Or at least not formally. We may have done
But
some
I liked that.
Yeah.
The remake. It's fun.
But yes, Trent is, you said a walking pair of boat shoes. That's great.
Yep.
He brings everyone to his very rich cabin and complains about
he
them
talks about
partying.
his father. He never says his dad. It's his father. And you bet he was a legacy admission. Like, that's the type of dude we're talking. Tall, blonde, rowing team, probably.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of feel.
Crew. He would admonish you for saying rowing.
Oh,
team.
sorry, crew.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the first big scene we get with him, because we got the group of friends, which is Jen and her boyfriend Trent, but then there's also Jared Padalecki, who's kind of this lone wolf character for a little bit because his sister goes missing and he's looking around Crystal Lake to see if anyone's seen her. He's putting up missing posters. He goes into the classic horror movie gas station we always have to stop at. And he is talking to the cashier and is like, "Hi, can I put these posters up?" And he's trying to explain and and the cashier's giving him kind of a hard time. And then Trent's like, are you gonna buy anything, pal, or are you just gonna be up here taking forever? He even says he's yapping. Yeah, Trent's cool. Trent transcends the years. He knows slang from all generations.
Yeah, and then he dabbed on him. It was
Yeah,
wild.
he starts flossing. It's super crazy. His girlfriend, another thing I was running into doing this is I had to make sure I wasn't just listing things.
Douches.
What?
Douches.
Yeah, just things that these characters do in general that are shitty, and more like, how are they a shitty partner?
Because in fact, Parker from Urban Legend was considered because the guy's an asshole. He feeds his dog a bunch of beer, but actually
he's a pretty good boyfriend.
Seems pretty into
He's
Tara
pretty
Reid.
supportive of Tara Reid's
Yeah.
like DJ career or whatever.
I don't think he cheats on her or anything.
No,
He's just a good boyfriend.
He's just irresponsible and yeah, gets a dog drunk, which is not nice.
And then the dog killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of the boyfriend aspect of it,
Yep.
not bad boyfriend. Just kind of a douche. But the reason I put this like poster thing on here is because his girlfriend just keeps telling him to like fucking stop. And he mockingly apologizes and just makes a big show out of like, oh, okay, fine. You know, so that's why that's on here. He's just you can't take him anywhere pretty much.
So Jenna ends up going off with Jared Padalecki to like help him find his sister. And, you know, I could see you being upset at your girlfriend leaving with Jared Padalecki.
He's like, what, 6.5 feet tall and Jared Padalecki?
Yeah.
He's got the like 2000s kind of
Like mop, yeah.
Yeah, like the not ska hair. It's like a
skater hair. Kinda.
Skater hair, yeah. He listens to Weezer.
No, it'd be more like fucking Newfound Glory.
Oh, or like Yellow Card.
Maybe, yeah.
I see it.
But in reaction to that, Trent just straight up cheats on her with Bree, which is when we have the scene with the best dialogue of all time.
This is one of my favorite sex scenes in all of movies because the dialogue is so good, and I have no idea if it was improvised or if it was in the script. And
it was in the script because he did not want to say it.
Okay, I was gonna say because either of those options is funny. I don't know if it being improvised is funnier than it being in the script, but it's in the script.
It's in the script, and the actor did not want to say it.
Your tits are so juicy, dude.
Your tits are so juicy,
dude. So juicy, dude. And then and this is the most infamous line. You've got perfect nipple placement, baby. It's so. I love it. I know the actor was not a fan, but to me, it just perfectly colors in who this guy is, and I adore it. It's so stupid. And I love that she's filming it.
Oh, yeah.
But she's not even filming it. It's like she hooked up. I don't know how this works either because there's no cords coming from the camera, but the camera is playing on the TV. Like,
But there's not like a cord?
No, it's magic.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how she did it.
Ah.
She's a witch.
With tits that juicy, you can do anything.
Yeah, right? She's like channeling the signal through them into the TV.
Yeah.
Magic tits.
Magic tits.
Magic tits. All right.
Okay, so Cheatin' Trent is up against Peter from Black Christmas. Peter is Jess's boyfriend, the main character. She finds out she's pregnant and tells him, and she wants to get an abortion, and he says that she can't make that decision.
Right. So this is why I think this movie's so interesting and very beloved, especially among female horror fans. This is 1974.
Mm-hmm. Literally 50 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
This year, yeah.
And this movie very openly is dealing with abortion and this college student's choice to have one, and she doesn't waver on it either. Mm-hmm. She also rejects the idea of marrying him. Like he says, well, okay, I'll just drop out of school. This is after he like fails a piano exam miserably. And he's like, all right, well, I'll just drop out and we'll get married and blah, blah, blah. And he just kind of wants to, you know, tie her down, I think, because he's kind of obsessive about, he does not want her to abort this baby.
Yeah. And there's not a conversation from either of them talking to the other. But, you know, if that's the case, it's going to be her choice because she's going to have to be the one to bear it.
Right.
Like she doesn't ask him his thoughts, but he also is like, no, you aren't getting an abortion.
Yeah, he literally says, you can't make that decision.
Yeah.
I wrote down a bunch of his quotes because they're pretty breathtaking. He says, do you ever consider anyone but yourself? And then he says, do you know how important this afternoon is to me? Because she tells him this right before he has this piano recital because he's in a music conservatory. It sounds like it's pretty prestigious and this is his life's dream. After the recital and after he kind of comes over and insists like, no, we're going to get married now. He's breaking ornaments on the tree. He calls her a selfish bitch. He says, you are not going to abort that baby. You're going to be very sorry. And it's a threat.
And because of that, later when he tries to like, he's peeking through that window and he looks so fucking scary at the end.
Yeah.
When she's hiding from the killer. And so when he gets to her, she thinks that he's the killer and she kills him in what she thinks is self-defense. Turns out he wasn't, but his behavior was so aggressive that that's what got him killed by her.
Yeah,
she
because
thought
he's fucking scary about it.
He was like sitting outside the house, like in a car.
I mean, he calls her crying at one point, and he sounds a little bit like the phone calls
like
that they get throughout the movie, like Billy. So, listen, I get that. I'm sure people will take umbrage with. I know that there are people who feel like, yes, that should be a decision between the both of them. The way he's going about this, though, is scary, and it is controlling.
And I could understand if your girlfriend got pregnant and you really wanted a kid, and it's your kid there, and if you had your beliefs about abortion, it'd be a big deal to have that baby aborted. But again, it's the way it's done about.
And you know, I'm just saying, if a guy who potentially wants to be the father of my children is calling me a selfish bitch and is threatening me to have said children, I don't think I want to, you know?
Yeah.
But it's tough.
This is a tough one. Because they're different.
Yeah.
One is like cheating.
Yeah.
And just being a douche in general.
Here's the thing. I know that Trent is cheating on her, obviously. She doesn't seem too surprised.
She doesn't.
Or broken up. It could also be because their priorities right now are not getting murdered by that point in the movie. But
when she gets back and they're in there fucking, she's like, hey, we gotta go.
Yeah,
like, there's no reaction.
Nothing. It doesn't even. So I don't even know if they were that serious in the first place. It doesn't even seem like she liked him that much.
Whereas Peter is all serious.
And Peter, I think the fact that he threatens her and is also a giant fucking crybaby about it too.
Yeah, I think the threat is worse than the dismissiveness of
and
Frank.
The fact that he's, I don't know, he just is so pretentious.
Peter?
It doesn't help, you know? He is rocking the turtleneck in this. I respect it. A lot of good sweaters in that movie. But
I think Peter
takes
it.
Wins. He sucks so much that they think he's maybe the killer.
Yeah. No one thinks Trent is the one killing people.
No, he's too busy yelling at people to not touch furniture.
Killing that puss. Wait, what?
He's yelling at everyone for partying, which is what he invited them there to do.
Exactly.
He's like, that's a family heirloom.
Doesn't one of them do a shoey? Mm-hmm. They're not even Australian. They do a shoey.
Yep. Next up, we've got Trevor Lyle from Candyman. Everyone's favorite urban legends professor. Oh wait, no, Freddy Krueger in Urban Legend. Those two would have a fun little, like, I bet they went to the same college.
Yeah. Second Trevor on our list too.
Yep. And we have lots of T names. We have Trey from Freddy vs. Jason.
Okay.
By popular demand.
Even though he's in 10 minutes of the movie, if that. I don't think
this to me is such a blowout here.
Yeah. Trey shows up. He's a douchey high school boyfriend. He's dating Catherine Isabel's character, Gib.
Yeah.
Gib.
Which, like, how dare you treat her like shit? She's so
Canadian,
beautiful.
She's Canadian royalty.
And she's wearing a backwards baseball cap in this for some reason.
So you wrote that he doesn't remember
her friend's name because he shows up at the house and he doesn't even know whose house they're at. He's just there to get drunk. Mm-hmm. He puts his feet up on the couch. He has shoes on. I noticed it. To me, it's a very telling detail about someone. Yeah, he obviously wants to get wet, you know? And he's
very demanding.
He's insinuating he wants a massage, wink, wink. And Gib doesn't get it at first and doesn't want to. And he says, babe, don't make me ask you twice. Yeah.
Babe, you know I don't like to be touched
after. And then they fuck, and then immediately he's like, do not even look at me or breathe on me.
He's also like,
because
babe, I don't want to kiss you after you smoke, which that one I get.
I get it, yeah. But she's like, it's menthols.
I mean, they're the best tasting ones.
It's different.
It's minty.
I mean,
he gets folded in half.
He does get folded in half by the bed.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Conversely, Trevor Lyle, played by Xander Berkeley.
Trevor Lyle is Helen's husband. He is a professor at Urban Legends University. Right away, this is like the second scene of the movie, Helen shows up to one of his lectures and he's little too flirty with one of the students after class. And it seems like they get caught off guard. There's definitely something going on. And Helen says something and he goes, oh, well, she's probably just super in love with me.
Oh, God. That's his defense, is to just like lampshade it.
Yeah. It's to just like, well, these female students just fling themselves at me, Trevor.
Yeah. Me, Xander Berkeley.
Then another thing that I totally forgot about, but is another aspect to his douchebaggery. He's doing a lecture on urban legends for this class, which Helen walks into and is like, dude, what the fuck? Because he specifically promised her he wouldn't do the urban legends lecture until next semester because she's working on a thesis about urban legends and she wanted to survey the students to get like
what they were familiar with and stuff like that.
Before a class tells them about, or like she wanted to know what they were organically familiar with.
So a professional disrespect of his own wife.
Yes, he tainted the research pool.
And you're fucking with science, dude?
Yeah, so now she's not gonna be able to get reliable like study from these students, which sucks.
Seems to not believe her when she says that she didn't kill the dog or stole the baby.
Right. Yeah, because that's like after she first sees Candyman, she like blacks out and wakes up in that apartment covered in blood.
And then she's put in the mental hospital and then escapes.
Yeah, because Candyman unleashes her and then he's like floating over her.
Yeah.
And then
But then he stabs that guy through the back and Helen's able to escape like out the window or some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And she like walks all the way home and apparently in whatever amount of time span she was in that hospital, he has already had that student move in with him as his girlfriend and they are repainting the house.
Yeah, pink. It's like Pepto-Bismol color. Like on top of everything, it's the most disgusting color of pink. Helen even points out that it's ugly.
Oh yeah, she like throws it.
But it's crazy. Like they
student girlfriend.
It was such a quick like, okay, get her to move in, and they already had plans to remodel. It's nuts.
Yeah.
The depths of this affair.
I'm gonna say he's worse.
It's definitely Trevor.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Trey, you escaped this one. You're just an idiot teenage boy.
Next up, this one is going to be extremely difficult because one of them was, I think, by far the most requested guy. And I think the other person I have him up against really is going to give him a run for his money. I don't know where this one's going to go. We've got Christian from Midsommar.
Oh.
I think the most requested for this
that makes sense.
episode. And we also have Ellison Oswald from Sinister. Ethan
Hawke's character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who, I hadn't seen Sinister in a while. I'd seen it once and it fucking terrified me. And I have not felt like revisiting it since. But I did rewatch most of it. I had to kind of scrub through it. And God, he sucks so much. He sucks so much.
You promised me we wouldn't move into another murder house.
No, she says, you promise we're not going to move in 2 doors from another murder house again? And he says, yep, I promise, because they moved in to the actual house. So technically he wasn't lying. It's so fucking shitty, dude.
That's really ignoring the spirit of her request there, Ethan.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we'll keep talking about him first then. So Ellison is an author. He's married to Tracy. They have 2 kids, and
he's starting to struggle in his career.
He's a true crime author. He had a very successful book. The last few books after that one were not well received, and so he's trying to get his groove back, right?
Yeah, which is why he moved into the house of an actual murder.
He thought maybe that would help, I guess.
Inspire him.
Yes, you know how writers are, I guess. No one wanted to move. He insisted because he's by all accounts the breadwinner, and he harps on that fact throughout the whole movie. Like, no, I have to write this book and it has to be a hit because this is how I support the family. And all of you had to move here with me because we have to make sure this book is good, or else we're all fucked pretty much. The kids hate it. The wife hates it. The kids are bullied at school, especially the son, because the other kids are old enough to understand who his dad is, and they make fun of him, and he just hates going to school.
That one I don't get. Would people make fun of Stephen King's kids?
This guy's a true crime author. who gets in trouble because as a cop in this movie points out, one of his books, the theory that he wrote about in the book ended up being not true, and it got someone wrongfully convicted.
Oh, that's right.
So he's he's shady. He's not, yeah.
He's not reputable.
No. Yeah, he's in the weird world
Had this movie been made 5 or 10 years later, he'd be a podcaster.
He would definitely be a true crime podcaster. So that, I think, colors him as a certain shade of skeevy. Just the fact that he's a true crime guy who does his own kind of investigations and fucks with actual investigations. And he claims it is on behalf of victims. We see a clip of a TV interview with him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so sad. Isn't he watching it while drunk as fuck?
Yeah. He's wasted just watching his old interviews. But then in a conversation with his wife, he is a bit more honest and says, like, this is about, like fame, and it's about the money, and we're going to have a nice home and vacate. We can have whatever we want and blah, blah, blah. So...
Yes, and clearly what he ends up getting himself and his family killed because he won't let this go, won't drop it, and if you know how Bagul works, you know that God, that movie fucking rules.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I just love that this is not the first time he went looking for the murder house that he was writing about. The fact that his wife had to be like, please tell me we're not doing this again. I mean, they technically didn't. Hey, want to talk to you about our sponsor this week, Rocket Money. If I asked you how many subscriptions you have, would you be able to list all of them and how much you're paying? Maybe like Mika from Paranormal Activity, you've got a bunch of shady financial apps or services you signed up for to get things for free. Look, we've all done it. I'm just saying it's also a very Mika thing to do. If you're like me before using Rocket Money, you have no idea how much money you're wasting on services you don't even realize you've subscribed to. It makes me genuinely anxious to check my bank statements. It's kind of like finding out you have a leaky faucet and that's why your water bills are so high. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills. I can see all of my subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, I can cancel it with a tap. I never have to get on the phone with customer service. Anytime I don't have to be on the phone with customer service is time I can spend researching all of these terrible, terrible dudes for this podcast. Rocket Money will even try to get you a refund for the last couple months of wasted money and negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/deadmeat. That's rocketmoney.com/deadmeat. rocketmoney.com/deadmeat.
Okay. Christian from Midsommar.
Christian from Midsommar, the hotly debated boyfriend from Midsommar. This guy is the subject of so much discourse.
He is, and that's because this movie is very good.
Yes, it's because the movie is good and writes. It has good characters and good characterization. I think all the characters in this are incredibly human and interesting. He especially.
Yeah, he's maybe the most interesting character besides Danny.
I mean, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. He is Danny's boyfriend. These two are not good for each other.
No.
They are the worst for each other.
They're a very bad couple. And he was going to break up with her,
yes.
But then she loses her whole family dies.
Yes. And so he doesn't want to do that at that point, which is
understandable. This aspect of him is what I think is so interesting because I think that this is very relatable and human. Just the idea of like, this person I'm with has gone through something so horrible. I can't be the next one to do something to her. Like,
yeah.
He just can't bring him. And he thinks that by just sticking it out and staying with her, that it's doing her a favor.
Yeah. And part of it is he is averse to conflict.
That too.
As we see throughout. But I think also part of it is he doesn't want to kick her while she's down.
Right.
He doesn't want to add this other thing in light of that tragedy.
Right.
But he also just goes about handling all of this in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
he agrees to go on a trip to Sweden with his friends without telling her about it. And then when she confronts him about it, his solution is to invite her on the trip with him without asking his friends.
Because he says, I invited her. I know she's going to say no.
That's what he tells
Because
them.
it seems like she typically is not adventurous and is not going to.
It's like, so I invited her. Don't worry. She's not going to say yes.
But I don't think he expected the way that her like family tragedy would maybe affect her desire to like, no, I'm going to go live my life and do stuff.
Yeah.
So, whoops, now she's coming on this trip.
When they have arguments, especially early on, it ends up with her apologizing to him, which he does maneuver those conversations.
Yeah, he
into
does
that
a
way.
lot of like, oh, well, I guess I just sucked. You know, just a lot of that kind of.
And she is also, I think, predisposed to wanting to apologize. And like, whereas he is conflict averse, she is too, in a way of like, she'll do anything to smooth things over.
She's very similar to the main character in Smile. There's an argument that she has with
Rose?
No, it's the Smile and her husband. Is it
Trevor?
Trevor. There's so many T names in this bracket where she a few times gets impatient and is trying to explain to him like, no, you have to fucking listen.
I'm not fucking crazy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's just they remind me so much of each other.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. In addition to that, he is also just very inconsiderate and
he's not very thoughtful
No, exactly.
and doesn't seem to like he just kind of treats her like she's there. He forgets it's her birthday.
Yeah.
Pele has to remind him. My favorite little detail that I remember pointing out in our review is he's trying to light this candle on top of a slice of cake and he can't. The lighter, it keeps getting blown out by the wind as he's trying to sing happy birthday, and it's just super uncomfortable. It's such
she's
a
like,
perfect.
it's fine.
Yeah, it's such a great little detail.
He's already checked out of this relationship, so he's already kind of looking at some of the other women there.
Yeah, Maya. He also ignores her when she's like, hey, this other couple's just straight up missing and it's weird. And he's like, he doesn't even.
Yeah, because he's too focused on his great new idea for a thesis, which he stole from his friend.
He steals from,
Yeah.
the other guy who's there with them doing the thesis on the commune.
Yeah. He does end up getting drugged.
Yes.
And raped.
Yes. It's
Led into sex.
I will say, I think it is fair to say that the infamous sex scene in this is rape. He's drugged and put in like a hallucinatory kind of, I think, suggestible state for this like virginity loss ritual, which is one of the most bizarre. It's I love it. It makes me so uncomfortable, and it's like it's funny, but it's not. You know, because all the
weird.
women,
Yeah,
she gives them the old lady giving them a little push. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like,
Ari Aster knows how to make you uncomfortable.
I fucking love
man.
Ari Aster, dude.
And then he winds up, partly because of that, burned alive inside a bear suit.
Yes, because Danny sees the aftermath of this ritual, puts two and two together, assumes he did it on his own free will because he has been pretty openly checking out this girl the whole time. And it is like, she's given the choice as the May Queen. Do you want to sacrifice your shitty boyfriend who definitely just cheated on you, or this other random guy? And she's like, oh yeah, my boyfriend who cheated on me. And yeah, they put him in that bear suit, light him up.
Horrific.
Yes.
I'm gonna argue for Ethan Hawke. He gets his family killed.
That's the thing. I think I'm there with you because there is a family involved, and this is straight up lying to his wife and children. And endangering them for his own gain. Christian, like this.
He's an awful boyfriend.
He's a doofus and a bad boyfriend, but not like Ethan Hawke.
There are no children involved to where like they're being threatened or like their lives are made shittier. It's really just a case of the worst two people for each other are together.
Yeah.
And it's a disaster after that.
And he's just selfish and young and irresponsible.
Yeah. Ethan Hawke's a grown-ass man.
Ethan Hawke's
should know better,
man.
And gets his family killed again.
Yeah, I know this might be unpopular. I'm willing to hear arguments, but I think partially maybe it's like what ends up happening to Christian is also kind of coloring our perception of him.
And what doesn't happen to Danny. I mean, you know, that's a good and bad ending for her. She's stuck in a cult. I would say mostly bad, but she's not murdered by her own kid and a demon.
Yeah.
Is Bagul a demon? I don't know what he is.
Yeah, he's a demon, right?
Okay, I don't know.
Fucking hate Bagul. He's scary.
Spooky face.
Yeah, all right. Sorry, Christian. The saddest. This feels on brand for him, though. It's like he doesn't even get to make it far in the douchebag bracket. He's just left behind, you know?
He's so fucking
just sad.
He's such a pathetic character.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Francis from Watcher.
Okay.
And this is I think this might surprise people, this edition, because I don't think I saw him suggested, but I was thinking about it because we just recently rewatched this. Dan Kane from Reanimator is a very bad boyfriend. He kind of trips and stumbles his way into being a bad boyfriend, but goddamn, the stuff that happens because of him, you know, I had to put him on. I had to do it to him.
Yes, Dan Kane, played by Bruce Abbott, very handsome man, is the fiance to Megan, played by Barbara Crampton. And he's in med school, and, you know, it seems like they have a good relationship. They're playful, they're
That's
lovey.
right, I forgot they're engaged.
They are, yeah, and they're like having a good time, but then fucking Herbert West moves in with him.
Yeah.
And boy, does he let his life just become completely unraveled because of this little weirdo.
Yeah.
Who's now
and just right away when Herbert shows up, she's instantly like, this guy's fucking weird. Like,
she's like, Dan, don't let him move in.
Don't let him move in.
No, I will.
Yeah.
I'll
After Herbert presents him with this crumpled up pile of cash, like, might this change your mind? And Dan is
this work, Dan?
Yeah. Dan's a stupid idiot and says, okay.
Yeah.
You can use my basement as a laboratory. And she even points out that his cat is scared of Herbert West.
Yeah, Rupert.
Like, cats know, you know, that cat
Rufus,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, Rufus. Here's the thing. I know some people will argue, well, technically, you could argue that maybe Dan and Herbert are the boyfriends here, which
true.
I think is a valid read on this movie.
Especially in the second one, too.
And in that aspect, Dan's the best boyfriend. He's a very good
just
little...
do whatever you want
He's
if you're
a
Herbert
very
West.
good little boyfriend to Herbert.
But for Megan, who is everyone's favorite person, Barbara Crampton.
Yeah. And so as Herbert and Dan's experiment, because Dan is very entranced by Herbert. He sees what he does. I mean, he reanimates his cat Rufus after killing it and putting it in a fridge.
Yeah.
and
he just helps it. He takes him to the morgue.
Which, you know, as a science student, if you see someone bring a creature back from the dead, I can see how that's very appealing, and you want to be there on the ground floor of that discovery.
But then they bring back a random cadaver, and it's like a fucking violent zombie. Mm-hmm. And then they end up killing Megan's dad, and Herbert's like, we can bring him back.
Yep, because Megan's dad's like the dean of the school, right?
Yes.
And so he comes into the morgue and is like, what the fuck are you two doing in here? Gets attacked by this reanimated zombie, dies, and they decide
we'll never have a fresher corpse than this one.
Nope. Oh man, the domino effect of this movie is so great.
And
it's
Tanner's
really
just like, yeah, I guess
so,
Herbert.
So. Oh no,
okay.
My fiance's dead. You're
and then
right,
yes,
though.
at the end when Megan is killed, he then reanimates her Pet Cemetery style.
Yep.
Brings her back knowing it's gonna be bad.
Yeah. It's not like he's actively terrible to her.
No, he's just passive.
Selfish. Yeah. And lets himself get run over by Herbert constantly. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he hates it either, because I think he also loves science so much.
Sure, or else he wouldn't be doing this.
I mean, he even uses, when he's talking to Megan's dad, because he's on the verge of getting expelled, he's like, look, Herbert's experiments, I mean, Meg has seen them, and they're incredible, so you can ask her. Like, so he even uses her as like you should let us keep doing this fucked up shit at your school, sir. Your daughter thinks it's cool too.
All right, you're gonna have to remind me of the guy from Watcher.
Okay, so Watcher. Watcher is a fascinating movie. it's Micah Monroe basically moves to Romania with her husband because of her husband's like work. So most of the day she's alone at their apartment together, and she can barely speak the language. It is great. Most of this movie, or not most of it, but like I'd say half and half, is in Romanian with no subtitles, which is super cool because you get the same sense of like, I don't know what these people are saying. And
and he speaks Romanian, and now I remember that scene where they're at like a dinner and he's talking to all these other people in Romanian. She's just standing there like,
yeah, so,
and he's not even translating for her, just
so
leaving
her
out.
Only translator often either just doesn't bother translating, or he leaves out details that he thinks might upset her, or so he's an unreliable translator for her. And so that sucks, especially because he has this dinner where it's like his two work friends over and they're all laughing at stuff, and she's like, okay, fuck me, I guess.
She notices a guy in a building across the way like watching her all the time.
He's staring at her from the window, and this is right around the same time that there's reports on the news of this like serial killer called the Spider that's going around and like decapitating women, like young women in their homes. And she's watching this on the news, and this is interesting, is it's in room, she can't understand it, and she asks her husband like, what are they saying, and tells her like, oh, there's like this killer, and she's like, oh, did they say how these women died? And he listens a little bit, and you can tell like that's definitely what they're talking about. He goes, no, they didn't say. Then later at this dinner where he won't translate, or he's not translating everything, she basically pieces together, because one of the other people there blurts out in English like, yeah, this one girl, like it was a straight up decapitate, like he's sharing all of it, and she figures out that he just was not telling her what was going on so she wouldn't be scared at home alone.
When he is home with her, he antagonizes the guy across the way.
He flips him off. He's like, I don't even see anyone, but he gives him the finger. She tells him that hey, I think that guy was following me in the supermarket because I went to see a movie. He was in the movie theater that I left, and he followed me to the supermarket. Maybe we can go and look at the security cameras there. And they do. And it is such a great, it's done so well because it truly is like you can read it as being creepy, or you can read it as like, it's just a guy in a supermarket and she's maybe interpreting it a certain way. It is kind of a Rorschach test. And her husband is like, well, you know, maybe he's staring at you because you're staring at him, you know? I mean, it's just a misunderstanding. He just keeps saying she's jumping to all these conclusions. The cops come over because she insists. The cop eventually ends up bringing the creepy guy over as like okay, we're going to play nice and we're going to be nice to each other, okay? He makes it like an equal thing. Like they both are freaking each other out. The creepy guy puts his hand out, and the husband kind of gives her a dirty look when she doesn't go to shake it right away because he just wants her to stop causing problems and being dramatic. Then this is the worst part. This is why I think he earns his spot on this list. He brings her to a company cocktail party, and she gathers, because she's been learning Romanian this whole time. She listens to like tapes and stuff. She knows enough to put together that something is said about her like being alone at home all the time, and her husband says something to the effect of, well, at least she's got the spider to keep her company, and everyone laughs.
Yeah, he's like making jokes about her.
Yeah, and then she's like, I'm sorry, what did you say? And she translates it back to him, and dude, you could see the blood drain from this fucker's face. She ends up being right, obviously. Yeah. That's how these movies tend to go.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, Dan inadvertently gets Megan killed. Kind of,
and like sexually assaulted.
Yeah, but I don't know how much of that we should blame Dan.
No, the weird thing with Dan is it's very much like, because he can't stand up to Herbert.
He's just so passive.
Stuff happens.
Francis feels
like more actively
shitty. Yeah, he's like literally mocking her in front of her without her knowing. After putting her in this situation to begin with, like she moved there to support him. Yeah,
like as far as like husband or boyfriend material goes,
like you can't be using your partner as a punchline to other people.
Like
it's gotta
in
be
front
you
of
two
her because you're like, haha,
in
she
front
doesn't...
of or otherwise. Like
Yeah.
it's got to be you two as a unit. Like
Right.
you can't like
Right.
Yeah.
But especially just that extra layer of like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just assuming she can't understand me. And
yeah. So I think Francis is worse.
I think that's fair. Picking up the pace here, we got Gerald from Gerald's Game and John Coleman from Orphan. Oh boy. Okay, so Gerald is he's married to a woman named Jess. They go to like a kind of cabin, like a lake house for a weekend to spice up their marriage because their marriage has been pretty loveless, I guess.
Is that it? He hasn't like cheated on her or anything?
No,
It's just, okay.
it sounds like she's a trophy wife and is not super into him anymore.
it is
He
called
also
the
has
Gugino.
he has erectile dysfunction and can't get it up anymore.
Oh, that's why he has like those pills.
So he takes Viagra, and this is when she realizes the only way he's able to get it up anymore is if he starts doing like kink play, like rape fantasy stuff. That's why
Okay.
he handcuffs her to the bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Without asking her.
Well, he
clear-
asked, like, can I and she's like, okay, sure. And so he handcuffs her. And then he starts getting weird. Like, once she's handcuffed, he starts getting weird. And she finally was like, dude, fucking stop. It's gross. I don't like it. And that's when he gets pissy and is like, I thought you wanted to spice up our marriage, and starts guilt tripping her for not wanting to play along. He also calls himself daddy, which is always gross.
Kind of weird.
It's not great. And he says, you can't blame me if I can't get excited and you won't try. So he starts blaming his limp dick on her too.
Okay.
And then she demands that he unlock the cuffs, and he goes, oh, what if I won't? What if I don't unlock the cuffs? And he tries having sex with her again. She bites him to make him stop, and then he fucking dies on top of her.
Because the Viagra like fucked up his heart.
He has
right?
a heart attack and dies on top of her. Yep.
Yeah. Doesn't she like kick him in the dick? Is that what? That's what happens in the book.
I
don't know if
can't.
in the
Yeah,
movie.
that's Gerald. He dies. I mean, in the movie adaptation, he's there as like a hallucination, and so it's
Yes.
hard to tell like how much of this is him and how much of it is like her interpretation of him.
Sure.
Sounds like he sucks. She does kind of wonder, who the fuck did I marry?
Was this joke that's written down? Was that a flashback to a real thing that he did?
This is hallucination Gerald saying, I mean, you remember that you overheard me telling this joke once to a client.
Okay.
You overheard me saying, well, what is a woman anyway? A life
Careful,
support
because
system for a C word.
yeah,
Sorry, YouTube don't like that
YouTube
word.
don't like that word.
But that's like, I'm sure it happened, but this is,
if
it's hard to count hallucination
No, I think that happened because
Gerald
it's
in
her
this.
imagining him being like, remember when you. So I think she did overhear him make that joke
Yeah, it's like weird kink stuff. And I
without
think
clearance ahead of time.
exactly. So that's not, you don't want to be doing that, folks.
Against.
John Coleman from Orphan.
Oh no.
See, this is when I'm saying this bracket might be weird for some people because we're
Yeah.
putting like possible attempted marital rape up in a bracket up against other stuff.
Yeah.
Just bear with us, please.
Peter Sarsgaard, an orphan. He is the husband to Vera Farmiga. They, you wrote this as a negative that they have sex in an open concept kitchen while they have
They
kids?
have kids.
It's a hot scene.
It's hot, but damn, that kitchen is open concept as fuck.
Vera Farmiga's smoking in that movie.
So they go to adopt a child from an orphanage. They meet Esther, who is super charming, and wow, she's really talented at a whole bunch of stuff for her age. Weird. They bring her home, and stuff starts going downhill almost immediately.
Classic thing of like the wife suspects something, the husband doesn't believe her.
Right.
You wrote that Esther sees him hitting on another woman. I remember the woman hitting on him. I think he's kind of just politely like at the playground.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like going. I don't think he's leaning into that.
Oh, okay.
I'll defend this one action of his. I do think he is, but she does say.
But because of that, he's not watching Esther when Esther fucking pushes a kid off the playground.
Yeah, and like breaks her arm.
Yeah.
But because I think he's like taking careful aim not to flirt back, because we do find out he had an affair 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But he only told her about 2 years ago.
Yeah, so he
she's
kept
still,
it a secret.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
still like raw about it.
Yeah, and he's like, well, he feels a little bit justified because apparently she drank during the latest pregnancy. So this is just not, there's a lot of shit going on
Lots
where
going on,
they're
yeah.
using past terrible shit
never good.
as a reason to be terrible to each other. It's no good. A nun comes over to be like, hey, actually your kid might be weird, and he refuses to believe it. He loves Esther because Esther is perfect to him. She's his little buddy, and she even wants to be more in the creepiest scene in the film.
She like fakes empty wine bottles to make it look like Kate had drunk alcohol. And even when Kate's like, no, I'm not, like, I'm clearly not drunk now. I wasn't drunk. He doesn't believe her.
Yep, because she's a recovering alcoholic. This one, if he had just done what he was supposed to do, the movie could have been over like an hour earlier. Esther says, Daddy, I don't want to go to the dentist. And he says, okay, I'll let you play hooky just this once if you hang out with me today. She doesn't want to go to the dentist because she's got full ass grown adult teeth with a mouthpiece on over them. We could have avoided a lot of tragedy if he had just taken her to the dentist like he was fucking supposed to.
Plus side is that when Esther finally tries to openly seduce him, he says no.
Yeah, the bar is on the floor, but at least he is rightfully disgusted by a child, or what he assumes to be a child, coming on to him, his literal child.
His reaction is great.
It is great.
What the fuck?
That sobers him up quick.
Yeah. Man, I thought for sure John Coleman would go far, but Gerald's
so gross. But then, like, John, it's like getting your whole family murdered, maybe.
Yeah, but there's a lot of back and forth issues in this relation. There's stuff from their past that is causing him to not believe his wife, like her past issues with alcohol, I guess.
Yeah, he also cheated on her.
Sure, yeah. I'm not saying yeah, but they also have some consensual, nice, hot, sexy times.
Yeah, I know. I almost didn't put Gerald in because I was worried that might just, do you know what I mean? Like, that's another level.
That is a little bit of an outlier. We could argue whether or not he would have actually gone through and done it, or if he was just kind of playing with her, like with a power trip. But either way, she's in a very vulnerable position at that point in time, and so I think it's mean at the very least and scary for her, and no wonder she ends up inadvertently killing him. So I'm gonna go with Gerald.
I'm torn because, again,
you just don't want Gerald to keep being in this.
Well, that, and it's also Orphan. There's a situation where it's like there's the kids too.
Oh yeah, they have 2 other kids. Yeah.
The other thing is we don't get a lot of Gerald either. I mean, I guess that this is probably enough.
He also has that joke. I don't know if John would make that joke.
That isn't.
A woman being a life support system for
I don't know. Maybe it's Gerald.
Yeah. I think it's Gerald.
Fuck. Okay. Oh no. I'm foreseeing the future right now, and I don't like it.
Yeah. All right, last of the matchups in the first round, then we'll go quick through the rest.
Yeah. We've got James Hoyt from The Strangers versus who I thought
he was like the
this was the guy
that inspired this whole damn thing.
100%. He's the one, the only Micah from Paranormal Activity. His list of crimes is like a full page of this document. What will be interesting is if all of these little things add up to him being the worst, because a lot of these are like the list of things is short, but each of those individual things is terrible.
So let's talk about James first. Seems to me as though, James in The Strangers, it's him and Liv Tyler. They're by themselves at like this vacation home kind of. They're just coming back from a wedding where he proposed to her at another person's wedding. He proposed
to her and like that instantly gets him put on this list.
And it looks like she was a bridesmaid.
She was a bridesmaid because if you zoom enhance on a scene, she's wearing a matching dress. Like the woman sitting to her right, you can kind of see her torso and it's the same dress. So she was a fucking bridesmaid in this wedding that he goes and proposes to her at in the parking lot. And she says no, obviously.
Bad plan.
Yeah. And so when they get to this house, It's like a family house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like he
It's not
came
where they live. It's just
he went there as a kid and stuff. It's all decorated, so it's super awkward. There's rose petals
'Cause she said no.
everywhere. Yeah, because she said no. And he's just kind of a whiny baby about the whole thing and turns it on like, feel sorry for me, kind of.
Like your list includes he litters.
He does litter. I'm sorry. I noticed it. I put it on here. He litters, but not before chugging most of it and then going and driving to get Liv Tyler cigarettes.
A champagne bottle? Okay.
Yeah. So.
Seems like he's telling her to calm down a bit.
Yeah, because he doesn't believe that
it's a home invasion
anyone
movie.
broke in when we see that they do. He insists that that's not possible. And he says, Kristen, nobody came in here, after she says one of them took my phone, so I can't call the police. He just keeps not listening to her. He keeps telling her their phone wasn't stolen. I put it in your bag. Like, it's so infuriating to rewatch this because until he personally sees, oh shit, there's people outside with creepy masks on and one of them's inside now. Yeah, I guess. It just takes a while for him to catch up to the program. He lies also. He says that he used to go hunting all the time with his dad, so he knows how to use a gun. But when it comes down to it, he doesn't know how to use a gun or put one together or load it. And Liv Tyler's like, oh my God, you told me that you went hunting all the time. And he goes, no, that was just something I said. It's so sad. But then he kills Glenn Howerton. Glenn Howerton's his friend who comes over, shows up, and dies immediately.
Yeah.
He has like 2 lines before getting his head blown open by a guy who can't use gun.
So that's James.
So that's James, and then Micah.
Micah from Paranormal Activity. He is our cameraman. He is the one setting up the camera every night because he wants to capture this cool demonic activity going on.
Yeah,
with his girlfriend, Katie.
Girlfriend Katie, who has had weird stuff happen her whole life, and he finally is like, "That's it. We're gonna film it and be famous."
And she's like, "No, it's gonna make things worse." And he's like, "It's okay. We're gonna keep filming it."
That's okay because we're gonna keep filming.
You said she tries kissing him while he's trying to eat, and he just says
he does not give back at all, and he just is staring at his food trying to eat. He goes, Denny time.
He's wearing a shirt that says CoinNet.
Yep. CoinNet. We talked about this a lot in the episode we did on this, and that was before the rise of NFTs and crypto. And I'm like, man, Micah, you would have loved crypto.
You missed out, man.
God, you missed out. I'm so sad.
Because he's like a finance. Was he?
He
just some kind of tech bro
stock
finance
trading.
Guy. Yeah, he's like a day trader.
I don't even know if that's his job. I think he just does it for fun.
Yeah.
He just loves. He probably has a bookie. You know.
He mocks the psychic who comes to visit.
Yeah, if he says like, "Oh, shouldn't you have known traffic was gonna be bad?"
Classic.
Yeah, he keeps telling her not to call a demonologist because it'll make it worse, or he just doesn't want other people getting involved.
In classic found footage douchebag, he tries to convince her to have sex on camera, and then is like, "I'm not recording."
Yeah,
and it's recording.
And she's like, "Clearly, the giant red record light is on." You fucking idiot. One thing about him, I'll say. I think is nice is Katie gets scared by a spider and he goes, and instead of killing it, he scoops it up and he takes the spider. I think that's nice. He doesn't want to kill bugs.
Fuck bugs.
Yeah, he should lose automatically.
Oh yeah, he brings in the Ouija board, and isn't it like
this is a similar thing to
Ethan Hawke.
Sinister, where Katie's like, you have to promise me you won't use it because the psychic says. No,
isn't it like you won't buy a Ouija board?
Yes, the psychic says like no Ouija boards, nothing, and she's like, promise you won't buy a Ouija board and bring it here. And he's like, yeah, okay, promise. And then he shows up with a Ouija board. He's like, I didn't buy it, I borrowed it.
Like, and it's funny. Got it for free.
Katie goes like, I can't. You show up with the nicest Ouija board I've ever seen.
Yeah, he ends up. I think he's to blame for pretty much the whole franchise.
Yes,
since he just makes it so
that's
bad.
True. His actions as a bad boyfriend give us so many movies, aside from like 2, because that's a flashback. But like, think of all the destruction he brings upon this planet because of his actions as bad boyfriend.
Just antagonizing this demon.
Well, he says she wants to stop filming if it gets worse, and he's like, well, because you didn't warn me right away when we started dating that you've got
he
weird
blames her
demon
for it.
stuff. I think I have equal say in this, so we're gonna keep filming.
He gets killed in the end because of his actions.
Yeah.
Okay, I think he's worse than James. James was a really shitty proposal.
For sure. No, yeah, it's Mika. Come on,
It's Vika.
it's Mika.
Okay, that's our first round. So
Okay, we're gonna go faster with these next ones. We've got Crispin Davison from You're Next versus Dan from Fall.
okay, Crispin plotted to kill his whole family. Ostensibly was going to keep her alive, but I kind of doubt it given the circumstances. Very much a weenie who couldn't do it himself versus Dan who cheated on his fiance with her best friend for 4 months.
They're both bad. Yeah, I guess giving your girlfriend PTSD, even if you know she's not, or you don't intend for her to get killed.
Yeah,
but
even
I
if
mean,
that's true.
the road to hell, right?
She's seen a lot of people die right in front of her.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas Dan, it sucks, but it's not hiring assassins to murder a whole dinner party in front of you.
Yeah. Gonna have to go with Crispin on that.
I
one.
think so.
You lucked out, Mason. You fell off the bracket.
All right, we have Peter from Black Christmas versus Trevor from Candyman. Ooh, This one's hard because they're very shitty in different ways.
Earlier we had factored in age and experience a little bit between Christian and Ellison. If we were to do the same here, Peter is a college student.
Yeah.
Who perhaps was raised in a conservative home and has strong feelings about abortion. And, it is a child he helped create that he feels strongly about, even if the way he goes about it isn't respectful of the fact that it would be her going through the birth.
And it's you're going to be sorry.
Sure, yeah. He gets
dude,
he takes it very far
and
gets aggressive. Trevor is a grown-ass man.
Drop a piano on her head.
Yeah, he's fucking Wile E. Coyote. Trevor is a grown-ass man who's having an affair with a student.
Yeah.
A college-age
problematic
student.
age gap.
And instantly has her move in with him.
And sniping her thesis, or undermining it at least, is really shitty.
And that he does this while she's in a mental hospital.
Yeah.
I don't even think he visits her once. He's spending the time getting his student girlfriend to move in with him.
He's a more insidious kind of shitty versus Peter is pretty on his face shitty. He's not trying to hide it or couch it in other stuff, but Trevor's trying to have his cake and eat it too.
Yeah, I don't think Peter's having his emotions run away with him.
Right.
Very far.
But I'm saying what you're getting with him maybe because he's so shitty right away and is honest about his shitty feelings versus someone like Trevor where she could be with him and have no idea who he really is, kind of.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's a professor and using his position to sleep with a student is weird.
I'll go with Trevor.
I think Trevor.
Trevor Lyle. Okay.
Also, lol, cheating on Virginia Madsen. Get out of here. We've got Ellison from Sinister versus Francis from Watcher. I think it's Ellison, dude.
Oh, that was fast. Francis is real shitty.
Francis is so shitty.
Moves his wife to another country.
It's true. It's okay, pick your poison. Do you want to have Ethan Hawke move you into a murder house, or do you want to have, I forget the actor's name, do you want Francis to move you to Transylvania or wherever they are in Romania?
Where you can't speak the language, you're totally isolated, and then he's not taking you serious.
And there's a serial killer running around chopping women's heads off.
Oof, this one's tough, actually.
This one is... Yeah, now that I remember the whole, there's the spider, and she is in danger this whole movie.
Because both of them, to various degrees, have some kind of, I guess, deniability. Because with Francis, it's what are the odds that this person is a serial killer who's like staring at you from across the way? And with Ellison, it's like, what are the odds that this is a supernatural?
That's true. It's like you wouldn't, if you're Ellison, you're not your first, because I don't believe, like I would move into a murder house.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in that kind of phenomena. So.
And both of them moved for work. Right.
Yeah. So I can't blame the whole Bagul thing on Ethan Hawke because who could have guessed, who would have known that was what was waiting for him and his family there. But then also you can't predict, a serial killer is more real, I guess. But I don't know. I guess even though I think the way he goes about it is very selfish and misguided, Ethan Hawke is ultimately kind of I think he's very insecure in his ability to provide. And I think that's part of his like masculine downfall. It's just like, no, this is my job. I'm a man who has to provide for my family. We're moving to the murder house and we're going to deal with it until I sell this book and we can he even says we can finally have our happily ever after. So I think he's like an ends justify the means kind of guy.
Does Francis ever give anything like that where it's like, this is all for us?
I don't remember specifically if there's
what are you leaning towards?
That conversation.
Because initially you said Ellison right away.
Yeah, because Ellison ends up getting Bagul involved.
Yeah, you don't want to get Baguled.
Now I'm leaning Francis just because of him making fun of her right in front of her.
That's more of a mean thing than anything Ellison does.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Especially when she ends up being fucking right.
That's openly siding against your wife as opposed to like...
But being too much of a pussy to not do it in person.
Whereas Ellison, I don't think he's ever openly against his family. He's more like, they might not like what I'm doing, but it's going to be for the best.
I have their best interest in my... I'm going to... I guess
Let's
Francis.
Go Francis then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one, and I hate this. I hate that it happened this way. Gerald from Gerald's Game versus Mika. Here's the thing, though. What we did realize is, yes, Gerald sucks. Okay, problematic guy. Okay, for reasons.
Bruce Greenwood or not.
Many reasons. Silver Fox or not, problematic. It's no good. Unhealthy sex stuff going on there. We don't like it. Mika is responsible for how many movies of evil shit happening to various families across this nation and in... Oh, no, wait. No, Mark Twain's is...
L.A.
L.A.,
right?
yeah. Do you know? Like...
Yeah, Gerald's fuck up is more contained.
Gerald, in terms of his... assholery as a bad husband does not leave that room, kind of.
Literally. It's a water.
Literally. Whereas Mika,
bottle.
like the Amish are affected by, do you know, it makes its way to Amish country. That's how bad Mika fucks up. Because he didn't listen to his girlfriend.
I guess
the Mexican-American community of Los Angeles.
I know we're obviously trying to get to an end goal here.
Yeah.
And let me put in another, some evidence towards that. Gerald, as heinous as his action is, seems to have been a one-time mistake.
Okay, so there is a brief scene where, this is hallucination Gerald as well, where he's explaining... You should have known something was up when there was like a time, I don't know how long ago, they were having sex and like he the only way he could get it up was when he started grabbing her neck.
Okay.
So
regardless, his bad husbandness is mostly this one-time thing.
Yeah.
Mostly.
It seems...
It's not a sustained thing over a month of daily not listening... ignoring.
It's from and again, I had to kind of like scrub through this, and the last time I watched Gerald's Game was like when it came out. I do think that the relationship itself is very kind of controlling and unhealthy because she is his trophy wife essentially.
Okay.
So I think that's part of it, and that's part of what gets her to think then about like her relationship with her father and all that shit. So I as much like I don't want to lie and be like, yeah, this is the only time he fucked up. Like, no.
Okay.
To be fair, he there's a scene early on where there's a stray dog outside and she leaves she finds some meat in the fridge and leaves it out and he sees it and he's like, oh my god, that's $200 Kobe beef. Like, what are you doing? And then he's like, you know what? Let the dog have it. I think that's really sweet of you. This is like who I marry. This is why I love you, because you're very kind-hearted. It seems like genuine.
Okay.
So I think there's some love there. I don't know,
man.
I just think it's worth considering the collateral damage of Mika versus Gerald.
Didn't you say up top this is about how they are to their spouses, their partners?
But this is a direct result of him being horrible to his spouse. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
This isn't unrelated stuff.
Sure.
This is because he didn't listen to Katie.
Yeah.
A whole franchise happens.
Oh man. I'm gonna adhere to you.
Oh man. Listen, I just think I'm gonna make a call here. I just think we're all gonna be sad if Mika gets booted right now. I'm just saying.
All right.
And I think I'm done talking about the potential of a guy being a wife rapist. It sucks. And I didn't think that he would even make it past the first bracket, but then he did the more we talked about him, and I realized, like, oh yeah, that is like super fucked up.
Yeah.
But I'm tired of it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say Gerald, in the midst of this bracket, he had a heart attack and died on the basketball court.
All right.
Mika, congratulations. Okay, final four. Crispin from You're Next versus Trevor from Candyman.
He hired assassins to kill his family.
Man, he did do that, though.
That's probably worse.
It's probably worse.
Yeah.
It's more unusual for sure.
Yeah. I know that's where part of me is going to with a lot of these is like, some of these is just run-of-the-mill cheating, and others are
like, dude, that took effort to... Yeah, and just no consideration for how scared she would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Crispin. You're in our final two.
Good job, Crispin.
Crispin. All right. Francis from Watcher versus Mika from Paranormal Activity.
Oh man.
These are very similar flavors of guy.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm thinking. They both don't listen to their girlfriends, wives, whatever. Francis doesn't try and make it content. You know?
Sure, it's a much more private dismissal of his partner.
Yeah, except for his coworkers.
Yeah, there is an exploitative element of Mika.
Yeah.
He is trying to do this. What's the purpose?
Just wants to get on tape.
Oh, early found footage.
Yep. That's it. The point is to just get it on tape.
Probably for money.
Probably. Yeah, I can't remember, like, having basically rewatched the whole thing. I don't remember if there's like a, we'll sell this and we'll be, it's just because it'll be cool. And like, that's what makes him so shitty to me. It's this whole thing is just because he thinks it'll be cool to get on camera.
Man, Francis, that meanness though.
Yeah. The meanness of making fun of her for being scared in a situation that is real and could all happen. It's not like she's afraid of a ghost.
Yeah.
She's afraid of being murdered by a very real serial killer that they know exists.
That is in the news.
And is doing stuff around their town.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Mika, obviously he starts to believe, but I think at first he's like, okay, it's just some weird stuff you claim happens and
yeah,
you know, whatever. It'll be kind of fun and spooky. Fuck. Gressel, what do you think? Just listening to our summaries of these guys.
I think that I have not seen Watcher or Paranormal Activity, so I have no bias for Mika. I think it's a very, very good point that he has a motive that is outside of their relationship So he is valuing something that does not yet exist, the potential of fame or money or whatever, over her, versus just generally kind of being a dick. I'm also picturing the husband in Anatomy of a Fall for the other guy from Watchers. Just because I think the foreign element or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like the external factor of I am valuing the possibility of fame and fortune over any potential harm, mental or otherwise, to my relationship, or just damage to the relationship, puts Mika over the edge for me. That would be my vote, not only off of your descriptions.
What do you think?
I just find it egregious to mock your wife in front of her or at
not
all.
translating is a big
that's
a huge shitty
it really
thing.
is shitty.
Yeah. I can never imagine treating you this way. I mean, granted, any of these ways, but
yeah, this is hard because it's like their realities are both very different as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, one has supernatural shit going on.
I have a question for Paranormal Activity.
Uh-huh.
So was it that she told him weird shit happens to me?
Yeah.
Since she was a kid, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he is then exploiting this personal detail that she shared with him out of intimacy, one assumes, for profit, versus you could maybe say that somewhere underneath the shitty behavior is I'm protecting her from something dangerous by withholding this information that she doesn't need because she's being ridiculous.
Oh, for the translation.
Yeah.
Like, I just know she's going to spiral and get
like
scared.
She's going to get scared. And
like a misguided attempt to...
She doesn't need to be scared. It's not a big deal. Yeah, misguided attempt at protecting her versus...
For that element of it, yes, I could see that argument. I mean, yeah, I guess exploiting like a childhood
the exploitation
thing.
is a very good point.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Mika.
Congrats, Mika. You made it to the finals where
you belong.
I will say, though, this I think is a blowout for what's-his-face.
For Crispin?
Yeah, because he hired a team of assassins.
He hired a team of assassins
to
kill his family in front of his girlfriend. And possibly her in the crossfire as well.
Yeah, so it's Crispin from You're Next versus Mika from Paranormal Activity. Two very shitty boyfriends. But it just in terms of, I just think like, even if it all went according to his plan, you have a severely traumatized woman that you're supposedly in love with.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? Like that's like just no regard for her having an internal life at all.
Yeah.
You know? So that might put him over the edge for me.
So.
Where that's so much more sinister than Mika wanting to just film stuff because he's excited he got a new camcorder. I think it's got to be Crispin.
I think Crispin is the worst horror husband.
I think so. Crispin, you are the winner. Congratulations. You couldn't win your family's fortune, but you won our little bracket. Who knows how it would have gone down if we let Gerald squeak through?
I mean, yeah, that's a tough one in the end.
That's tough.
But
see, that's where that bracket gets weird because, again, it's like, ooh, comparing a very real kind of partner abuse versus like ghost demon type stuff is hard. But hopefully people understand our decision. Listen, I just wanted Mika to get out there and play ball, you know? I just wanted to put him out there. I saw greatness in him.
And he went far.
He did, yeah.
Hard to beat Crispin, though.
I'm kind of shocked, honestly, but the more we talked through it, the more I realized, like, no, that's absolutely fucking crazy to do that, even if it went according to plan.
Yeah.
That's so fucked.
What'd you think? Any matchups that you would have chosen differently?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Let us know.
Or was there anyone else who we should have included based on the guidelines given at the start of the episode? Mm-hmm. So, again, no Jack Torrances.
Right.
He's swinging an axe at his wife. Can't have that.
Yeah. Like, Gerald was borderline for this, honestly.
Yeah.
I probably could have switched him out for someone else.
Was there anyone else who you had in mind who was, like, borderline?
The husband from Hosera.
Oh, okay.
I scrubbed through that and like, yeah,
it's
but there was nothing like
character.
uniquely shitty about him. Like I just was like, I don't see it being interesting enough for this. I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head.
What about Tyler from The Menu?
Oh, doesn't count because he hired her.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But I thought about it.
We
I thought about it. Yeah. Tyler does not count.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this game. Switching it up a little bit.
Yes. Once again, our live show, April 14th. Got a link in the description for tickets. Social media?
Dead Meat James at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
I'm at Carebeck, CREBECC on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want merch, deadmeatstore.com. Great. Thank you so much, Gressel. Thank you, Molly, who's sitting on Gressel's lap. I guess, tune in next time. And God, pretty soon after this, we're going to be at a bunch of conventions.
Oh, and you know what? We got to plug this. In the very near future, the podcast will not be on this channel.
Yeah, that's right.
It will be the flagship show of our second channel where all non-kill count content will live. It's a big decision that we've been mulling over for years now, honestly. But we think it's the best decision just for both shows and all types of content to thrive in their own way. So I think this episode and the next one will be the last ones posted to this channel. We will be migrating all the previous episodes over to the new one. We think we have the name for the new one. I'll wait.
We'll wait till we have it
we'll wait until it's finalized, until it's crystallized. But just keep an eye out. We will let you know where to go, where to subscribe. But if you want to keep watching the podcast, make sure you subscribe to that new channel where it will hopefully be better treated by the algorithm when it's its own thing.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So until next time, I'm Chelsea.
And I'm James.
And this has been the Dead Meat Podcast.